Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sharon.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'll call today's meeting to order. This is the January, it's been a long week. What are we, the 31st today?
31st.
31st, thank you. It's the January 31st, 2025 meeting of the Riel Community Committee. I'm Brian Mays. I'm the City Councillor for St. Vital Ward. I'll be chairing today's meeting, joined by my colleague Matt Allard, City Councillor. Recently celebrated his 10th anniversary here at City Hall. City Councilor for St. Boniface Ward. Our colleague Marcus Chambers is off on city business, so we'll do a motion momentarily to excuse that, joined by City Planning and City Clerk staff here today. We've got a relatively brief agenda, though we do have at least one delegate. To the land and water acknowledgement, I'd like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. All right, I am slightly behind here, but Madam Clerk, I think then, do we need a motion to approve minutes of the last meeting?
Yes, of the January 8th meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Allard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then I guess, are we on to? Thank you. Yes, Councillor Allard, could you move a motion excusing Councillor Chambers'
Yes, so moved.
absence at a conference?
For city business?
For city
yes.
business, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's carried. We do have one additional item to add to the agenda, which is a motion of mine pertaining to a study about geothermal and heat at St. Vital Arena. So
I move a motion to consider new business.
thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll drop that in at number 6.
Yes, and there is the addendum plan approval. So Councillor Allard, just confirming that your motion was covering both of those items, the addendum plan approval and
Yes.
the, okay, great.
And
Thank you.
both Councillor Allard and I would like to see that John Bruce Road property dealt with.
And I thought once we suspended the rules for new business, it was like free-for-all, but it's not?
If you just say new business, if you're specific about the item that you're suspending the rules for, then we just like to check to confirm that you're also comfortable for the,
Okay, I was
Other
trying to be unspecific and therefore endorsing all, but okay. I'll be specific with the two.
All right, on we go then. We have just Mr. Hill, who's a familiar face here from Qualico, Street Side, to speak to item 2, which is plan approval for the ever expanding Gray Heron area in Sage Creek.
okay, so Dave Hill is joining us together with Paige West from Qualico to be heard with respect to report 2. They're both joining us via Zoom today. David, we've just asked you to start your video.
We have that joke that you have to have a first and last name with one syllable each to head the golf service. So Paige West is the potential future here with the city.
Dave, I don't see that you've joined with audio, so we can't hear you or see you right now.
You're not on planning.
I'm no longer on
Who is on? I think it's
Schreier,
state of flux. Wyatt, unless he isn't.
Schreier, Wyatt, and Needy.
No,
And then
he's off.
There needs to be a new rep.
Santos Ian. Off the top.
And Rollins would have
Brother.
been removed de facto from the
Yes.
designation from EPC.
I'll have to talk to.
So David, we've asked you to unmute yourself. Can
There
you
we
hear us?
Yep.
Yes,
Can
you
you
have-
hear us?
Coming in from.
We can. We can't see you, but you.
Oh, yeah, I'm having some trouble with the video. It's flashing like crazy. So hopefully I can just give you a brief overview of things with the proposal for the condo project. What we have proposed is 22 units in 11 bungalows. Excuse me. And they're walkout basements. We're kind of targeted older demographic here, so we're trying to reduce the number of steps into the homes. I don't think we have anything that's too concerning with the proposal, except that we want to make 18-foot driveways instead of 20-foot driveways. I think you've got a pretty good detail of what the proposal is, the front and back images of the homes. We think it's a good fit for the neighborhood, and Paige and I are mainly here today just to answer questions. If there's any concerns or specific questions you had about the project, we want to be available to answer today. That's the main reason we're here.
And this is the street, I'm trying to look at a couple of different maps here. So the street address here is what for these?
It's Grey Heron Drive, and the street address is, it runs from 319 to 187, but the closest intersection is Burning Glass Road, and Grey Heron Drive is the location on the, that would be the west corner of Burning Glass and Grey Heron Drive.
Yes, sorry, I found the map here, the subject site map here now, so that's good. So very close to the, it's really not the Grey Heron area, it's the Witham area, right? I knew there was one street that kind of dominated.
Yeah, there is Witham a little, I think that's on the west side, that's the street on the west side?
It's north.
North side.
Yep. Yeah, that's this little subdivision, I'm not sure what phase this is, 9 maybe? I know it's not 10.
It's phase 8.
Yeah, that's close. All right. No, I don't, can you just clarify, yeah, I mean, this is it's good densification. We're close to a school, which we hope to open this fall, I think. Can you just clarify for me, we had some discussion here, the front yards, the properties, each unit is 20, the property is 26 wide. I mean, you got an 18-foot wide front yard and the 8-foot driveway.
Yeah, it's a 16-foot wide driveway and an 18-foot length in the driveway.
So maybe my math's a bit off here, sorry. So 31, each unit is roughly,
Yeah, the width of the units is roughly 32 feet across,
Yeah.
width-wise.
okay.
One up to 60 feet.
All right, that's, because I know Qualico had been talking about a plan with narrower properties, but this isn't that, is my impression. This is still pretty standard stuff at 30.
No, these aren't the narrow homes that are on the agenda in the future. We have some other, at least our division's got some plans for a narrow home. They're not necessarily duplexes. These are a more standard width of a duplex.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't, yes, I look forward to that. That should be an interesting debate, actually, or interesting review when we get there. But this is more conventional, shall we say. So still pretty, certainly not single family. This is RMF. This is, thank you to the planners, RMF. So good. Okay, I don't think I have any further questions. Councillor Allard, any questions?
No. No questions.
All right, I think that's it for questions.
And before the delegate leaves, were there any intended amendments to the plans?
You're okay with everything that's being proposed in the yes, you're okay with everything being proposed in the administrative report then, Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I think we're, so, and it's, there's no, we've had, some of Sage Creek has back lanes, not here though, right? This is front drive?
Yeah, their front drive, there's a back lane on the townhomes across from us, but not on this. This is actually walkout situation where it's overlooking a pond.
More doors to knock on in the next campaign. Very
That's right.
good.
They're all close together for you.
Close houses, as my political mentor used to say. All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on then to the delegation, to the agenda items. Okay, thank you. No further delegations. Very good. We're out of the gate then with number 1, such a Councillor Chambers' ward, although I used to have this piece of land and when it was in my ward. He's done this before, eh? This is the people doing a a skating rink in this park that's off. Yeah, I'm fine. You just need us to not agree with the public's, well. Perhaps Councillor Allard could move to not, or I can do it, whatever.
Is this Councillor Chambers?
He's trying to waive criteria here.
Yeah,
basically.
okay, and it's coming from Councillor Chambers?
Yeah, he can cover it. He's
Okay,
got quite a
so
bit.
I will move what Councillor Chambers has put forward.
I think this came by way of administrative report, just so you know. So any time that the public service does not recommend approval, it comes to this committee via
Yeah.
report. So Councillor Allard, you're moving to not concur in the recommendation of the public service and recommend to EPC that the amount be approved. It's $2,233 from LDR.
Yes.
Okay.
Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's carried. Turn the chair over to Councillor Allard on item number 2, as that was once in his ward, but is now in my ward. This is Sage Creek area. This is the item we just heard. Further densification in this area that's kind of designed this way. So I'll be interested when we get to that narrow house, that let's make sure that we know what we're talking about there. Make sure that's flagged, please. But that's not today. So I'll move, I just need to move the plan approval, I believe. Yes, I'll recommend approval of the submitted plans.
Okay, so moved in the chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary carried. I'll take the chair back, Councillor May.
Yeah, I'll take the chair back. This next one is, again, in Councillor Chambers' ward. Do we have nothing in your ward today, Councillor Allard? I don't think we do. This is what? Can somebody clarify this one for us? Number 3, 980 St. Anne's Road. It's plan approval. This is the
Yeah, so for this application, there is no redevelopment of the building. There's only site redevelopment to rectify site deficiencies that were indicated by zoning field officers. And the applicant and enforcement were working on this for a few years, and now they submitted the application with all landscaping, parking modifications to bring the site to compliance.
So like we're approving already existing,
I know this file.
okay.
Yeah.
And why are we approving after the fact?
They came in for plan approval way back when it was rezoned, and somewhere along the line, some modifications were made on site that didn't comply with previously approved plans. And so essentially, that was kind of captured in a site visit by one of the zoning enforcement officers, and subsequently resulted in us having to get those modifications made to the site to bring it into compliance. So,
What were the changes?
well, there.
And the property owner died.
why did they-
I had this file for a while. It was still in my ward.
Correct.
It goes
So
that far back.
I think that was part of the challenges in bringing this into compliance. It took many years to kind of get it to here, partly because of that situation, yes.
It will not make publicly.
Do you have a list of the changes? Yeah.
What are the changes though? Or did council still get what it approved?
Page 6.
So reconfiguring the site south approach to provide additional space for an interior landscaping median to slow down traffic coming into the site, and change 3 small car parking stalls into standard size parking stalls. Reconfiguring the accessible parking spaces by painting the separation lines between stalls and adding the associated accessible signage. Removing the existing landscaping along the front yard setback, installing a hedge, and
Just one
planting.
second. Would you mind speaking up? I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
Maybe,
sure.
maybe it's because of the ambient noise.
Removing the existing landscaping along the front yard setback, installing a hedge, and planting trees and perennial shrubs to meet the street edge and building foundation landscaping requirements. removing the existing garbage enclosure and replacing it with 2 in-ground bins to improve site circulation and accessibility, installing a new wood fence along the north property line followed by wheel stops for the adjacent parking spaces. The purpose of the fence installation is to separate the property from the public trail. The landscaping includes 8 trees and 36 shrubs along St. Anne's Road and 18 grasses along the east building elevation facing St. Anne's Road.
Okay, so, thank you for the details. So on a balance, is the public service satisfied that the applicant complied either in whole and/or was there at least what council had asked for, if not more, I guess?
Yes. Yeah, they've remedied the shortcomings of the small car parking stalls. They've provided the required landscaping, and some of the other changes just result in just a site improvement. So I think that captures it all, right? Yeah.
And this was it inspected?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
this has been
so
going
this has been,
years.
so these plans reflect what was seen by staff?
No, the deficiencies were addressed. They've come back to remedy some of those deficiencies with the small car parking, with the landscaping.
Yes, but we've seen that?
Well, with these plans they're required to now fulfill the obligations of these plans.
Okay.
So we will see that, I'm sure, in the spring or whenever
So,
construction season.
okay, so it's not done yet,
No,
but they
it's not
are
done
to do
yet.
it?
Correct.
And then what's the next, I don't know, the next touch with the city? Is there one?
They would apply for a development permit
Yeah.
to,
So there will be another layer of, oversight? Okay.
yeah.
And I imagine because this one was a deficiency and an enforcement issue, that there may be follow-up on the plan approval to ensure that it complies.
Can we mandate that?
When we, can we mandate that? When it's,
I'll just,
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Sort of built in, isn't it? It's
I-
a collective agreement. You don't need a clause saying you have to follow the.
We can,
Yeah, it's probably,
we can follow up with zoning on that to confirm, but I'm thinking, I can't, I can't verify at this time.
Yeah, okay,
Well, good.
I don't see a need to treat this any differently than every other plan approval.
No.
It's more of a process question.
Good work by somebody on staff following up on this. I mean, I think this is where Hearth Restaurant, like, I remember going to a candy store opening with Bowman when we had the first kid mayor. So this thing's been open for years, like this little mall. So somebody cared enough to stay with it, so. And the fence and the wheel stops, whoever insisted on that deserves some thanks, because, yeah, it's a public trail. I poured money that Chambers has Chambers got like a full-on traffic light there. Like, we want people to use the public trail and not get run over, to be blunt, so good. Somebody followed up, good.
Okay, I'm comfortable
Okay.
moving the plans as recommended by the public service.
Okay.
Is that
sounds
right,
good.
Madam
Yep.
Clerk? Yeah?
Call the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, contrary, that's carried. And the chair back to Councillor Allard. This is in my ward. We don't have anybody here to speak to this. One question for you, Mr. Clark. Is this a gravel back lane? Is this a paved lane? It doesn't say, so.
Sorry, for the St. Anne's site?
Millis. I thought we.
Oh, we're on,
seen it.
sorry, did I miss? The non-conforming approach. Thank you.
Yes.
My apologies. Well, let me just double check. I was pretty sure it was paved, but,
Their letter is interesting.
yeah, it's a concrete surface.
Okay, we are, after that incident with the gravel lane that was described as chip seal at some damn hearing, that we're confident this is concrete, though?
Fairly confident Yeah, I haven't visited it personally, but our,
When we're on a break, I'll look at my handy map, but I think you're right.
yeah, I think we can view it pretty clearly in iView.
Yeah, it doesn't look like gravel on the photo. Well, okay, so we don't have anybody here to speak to this. I have a almost unblemished, perhaps unblemished record of approving these where there are gravel lanes, and then Elise Finnegan or her successors would say, well, we want a quality public realm. We don't want people getting run over on the sidewalk. And then I would say, if you want a quality public realm, you should fix up the gravel lane, because that's part of the public realm now, shouldn't you? And I'll keep approving these until you pave the lane. So, and so it would go. But if this is already paved, then I kind of, I mean, there's no one here objecting, but there isn't also the usual 14 neighbors signing some petition saying, I support this, right? I mean, so maybe we'll have to revisit this at some point, but frankly, I'm reluctant to, I'm not reluctant at all to do it where it's a gravel lane. I am reluctant to do it where it's a paved lane. I would note this does fit in with our infill guidelines, which are now, we can't call them guidelines, our infill rules, right?
This is zoning bylaw.
We shut down front approaches. We want you to densify where there's a paved lane, but we'll come to that in the coming fourplex battle. Okay, so with nobody here to speak to it, frankly, I'm going to move Councillor Allard to, I'll move the application not be approved by the Riel Community Committee. It's already got a paved lane, and we would want people encouraged to use that. I don't think the presence or absence of on-street parking isn't telling on this one. I think because they could park in their backyard if they wanted to. They could use that paved lanes. Okay, well. Maybe we'll have to revisit this at some point if there's a better case to be made, but I'll move to agree with the Winnipeg Public Service and refuse the application.
So moved by Councillor Mays, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary, carried.
Number 5 then, and I thought it gave supporting reasons. Do I? Oh, for God. Oh, sorry, that's on me. I'm the person who wanted these changes made now, aren't I?
This is
Where is
now,
this? On the...
we need supporting comments for things that are not public hearings now?
On apologies, Counselor, it wasn't included on the agenda. That's our fault. It's
Vindication.
I apologize. But yes, supporting reasons are required for a non-conforming approach decision.
Here are my supporting reasons. It's a paved lane. I have a long record of approving these where it's a gravel lane to dynamite some action from the Winnipeg Public Service into doing a better job with the gravel lanes. But since it's already paved, I don't think there's a case to be made here to allow this on the front street, and it would tend to counter our philosophy as embodied in the infill guidelines to encourage the densification where there are back lanes.
Paved back lanes.
So moved.
Back lanes or paved back lanes?
Thank you. Paved back lanes.
Okay. Okay, moved by Councillor Mays, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary, carried.
All right. Number 5 then. This is the John Bruce Road file. Perhaps, Mr. Clark, could you take us through this then?
Yeah.
Or- yeah, I think you've had you've inherited this one after 7 or 8 years of thrashing around on this site. We may actually be done.
Right. So do you want the full background, starting from the beginning, or just how we ended up with coming back with these revised plans?
The latter.
Okay. So at the previous meeting, there was a motion to, what do we call it? To return the plans to, what's the term? Referred, thank you. Refer the plans back to the applicant with conditions to address landscaping and privacy. So after that meeting, I reached out to the builder indicated what the expectations or conditions were to fulfill. They said that they had no problems with planting 5 additional trees along the west property line in the backyard. That 2 of the mature trees, 2 of the 4 mature trees were still standing in the front yard, and that they would add 1 additional tree into that front yard space along the west property line. I did have them go out and photograph those trees just to verify that they are in fact still standing. So those were included in the revised report. And the additional measure of a privacy screen. So it was brought to my attention that the area for a deck is identified within the plans. However, it's not the builder that will be taking that on. It's up to the purchaser of the home to build that deck. So they did indicate that on the sales agreement, they could stipulate a requirement to put up a privacy screen if and when a deck is constructed. And so we've essentially reflected what has been captured on the plans in some additional conditions. So we've just indicated that the height of the trees, if they're coniferous, should be 6 feet, or if deciduous, the minimum caliper shall be 1 3/4 inches at the time of planting, and that we do wish to receive confirmation that these trees have been installed no later than September 30th, 2025. That should give them plenty of time to do the planting over the summer. And then we also added a provision that if a deck is to be constructed, that a privacy screen shall also be included to further, add that privacy between the properties. And so we're in agreement with that with the proponent, and so that's the submission coming back to committee today.
Okay, thank you. Very thorough explanation. Yeah, and we covered off this was to be done before construction, but I think we've covered that off at the previous meeting, and luckily we've caught it now. So thank you for the work on this. Maybe I can hand the chair over to Councillor Allard and deal with the recommendations then?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this is a long-running file that first came up when this was still in Councillor Allard's ward, so pre-2018. For the neighbors on the court, they had real concerns with the proposed townhouse development, which Councillor Allard shared some of those concerns, and so did I, and so we didn't approve that as planned. It's morphed into a 5 or 6 single-family homes going in on the site, some of which will open onto the street to the south, some of which will open onto John Bruce. Then issues about height, and anyway, the house is not going to be over the allowed height limit. This is not multifamily. This is a single-family home. Yard setbacks are big. Unfortunately, some trees were lost, but it seems like we've worked out something. I mean, I'm not going to get into calipers and all that. Thank you for working this out. So I think it's a good. We've worked through some of the concerns, I think. So thank you to the staff. So, and as I've also explained to people who live nearby, if I demand too much here or reject this, it goes on up to another committee who will not have the decade-long experience with this file that Councillor Allard and I have, so I would prefer to just nail this down here and hopefully no appeal from that. So if this is what the developers come back with, pretty confident there won't be an appeal. Okay, so I will move then, based on all of that, approval of the submitted plans subject to the conditions as detailed by the administration. So
Okay.
moved.
That's the motion?
That's the motion.
Madam Clerk, we're following? Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Contrary carried?
One more item of new business then. Madam Clerk, unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me, which is
Sorry, I
mildly awkward.
sent it to you.
Probably sent it to me yesterday.
I emailed it to you this morning with, is there a CC with Councillor Allard?
Under the confusing heading, new business. Okay, 30 seconds here. Well done. All right, so this is I'll leave the chair with Councillor Allard. There's Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, has a green municipal fund. We've got a group, Geo Optimize, which has been talking with, so you've got a private firm talking to St. Vital Minor Hockey, which is the group that operates the city-owned arena. So lots in play here, but we're just trying to, what they require to get money from FCM is some motion of approval of the study by City of Winnipeg. So City of Winnipeg's not on the financial hook. There is the statement here that the City of Winnipeg is supportive. Mr. Erickson has certainly been supportive. He called me to see if there's anything more that was needed. I might need him to do something as this goes up to planning, to water and waste. Well, lucky for me, I'll be able to deal with it there. Good, okay, so I'll save the rest of my comments. So yeah, good initiative, you know, I think in keeping with some of what we're trying to do around here in terms of look at alternate heating sources. So thanks to Madam Clerk for cobbling this together from some pretty rough notes that I gave her, so much appreciated. So I'll move the formal wording is council acknowledge that Geo Optimize is applying for a funding opportunity from FCM's Community Energy Systems Program for a study for a community energy system at St. Vital Arena. And we'll leave it at that. Yeah, and we've got the normal second paragraph. So thank you to Madam Clerk for drafting this. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Mays. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary carried.
All right, so now we're on a break to the public hearing, and I think we should talk with the clerk prior to that because we don't have council chambers here. All right, so we're adjourned? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we'll call to order our public meeting portion of the agenda. This is the January 31st, 2025 Riel Community Committee. We do have only one item set for public hearing, so we'll turn this over to the clerk for now.
Okay, in accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information. Finally, the applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, however, no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it is your opportunity to speak, however, you are not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult the City Clerk's Department website. Please note that all public hearings are recorded and will be part of the public record. Should you have any questions after the hearings have concluded, please contact the City Clerk's Department. Item 1 is a closing at Station Road between 3525 and 3511 Pembina Highway under file DAC 5 of 2024.
And yeah, so note that we did the land and water acknowledgement when we started the earlier part of the meeting. In discussions here, we've come to realize Councillor Chambers is unfortunately not here today. This is his ward. There is, it would appear, some opposition that has been raised. People registered, or at least one person registered, a petition. In discussions here, our preference, and with apologies to those of you who come down here today, our preference is simply to lay this matter over until our next meeting, which is February 21st, relatively quick turnaround. Normally we meet every 4 or 5 weeks. So apologies on that, but we can't hear from you today without Councillor Chambers here if he is to be part of the ultimate decision-making. So we can't get underway today without Councillor Chambers unless he isn't part of this at all, and we would like him to be, given that it's his ward and that there's at least some questions being raised here. So, Councillor Allard, do you have any comments? Or?
No, I would move the, well, I would look to Madam Clerk for the words, but move this to move the public hearing to the next meeting.
Sure, so you'd like to move that no representation be heard on the application and the public hearing be adjourned to the Riel Community Committee meeting on February 21st, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. in the Council Building at 510 Main Street.
So moved.
Yeah, I'll be supporting that again. Apologies to those folks who've come down here today, but, and I'm not here on Feb 21, but fortunately, Councillor Ellard will be, Councillor Chambers will be. They can then hear the matter with delegations. But I think given the issues that have been raised here today, we are not comfortable proceeding without Councillor Chambers. So I'll support Councillor Ellard. So we'll call the question about laying this over to Feb 21. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that is carried. Any further business, Madam Clerk?
Just adjournment.
Okay, Councillor Allard moves for adjournment.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is carried, and we are adjourned. Sorry, folks, to bring you down here, but we think it better if the area councillor is present.